Welcome. My name is Jeff Creighton, and I am the Senior Corporate Strategy Manager and Lean Leader at Barton Malow. We would like to thank the AGC 2020 Innovative Award Committee for giving consideration to our submission. The title of our presentation is Why Are Frames and Doors So Aggravating? The presentation is divided into 4 distinct sections. We are labeling each section and providing the slide locations for each section. Ask anyone in the construction industry about their experiences with welded hollow metal frames, and they will grimace and grit their teeth. Then they will begin to list all the problems these frames have created for them and their teams throughout their career. The list is always the same. So is their desire when they say, "I want welded hollow metal frames off my critical path." The quote you see is from Unified Door and Hardware Group website. The obvious question is, how can such a minor part in a project be the cause of so much aggravation? And if this is true, why hasn't someone solved this problem already? Barton Malow is dedicated to applying lean construction processes and solutions into everything we do. We're continually searching for ways to eliminate waste, but until now, we could not find a solution for problems associated with welded hollow metal frames. There must be a better way, and we have to find it. The quote shown here is from the publication Construction Management, Subcontractor Scopes of Work. We can't accept a statement, dents and dings to install doors and frames are inevitable. Inevitable is an excuse to resist change. It causes us to accept the reasoning that this is the way we've always done it. However, if we are on the path with lean construction to reduce and eliminate waste from a process, the sentence highlighted in blue is not a solution. It is the opposite of a lean solution because accepting the recommendation is simply passing the cost on to the owner, whatever the amount may be. Frames and doors are a high labor content process on many construction projects. The current low unemployment rate throughout the country is a crisis in the construction industry. The demand for skilled trades has exceeded the available supply. 2 things happen under these conditions. 1, costs or wages go up, and second, interest in solutions that will increase productivity become important. At this time, I would like to introduce Don Mabey, who's the Marketing Director for Quick Install Frames.
Thank you, Jeff, for your introduction, and good morning, everyone. This graphic stair-step represents the process flow of activities needed to be completed in sequence to finish a wall with a frame and door installed. This process begins with the welded hollow metal frame installed when the wall is being built. Because it is the first operation, it is the foundation for the construction of the interior spaces in a structure. If the frames are late for any reason or for no reason, they can have a significant impact on the critical path of the project. Like a line of dominoes falling after the first is tipped over, every following process is delayed when the frames are not available on time. It is the reason a Barton Malow Senior Superintendent made the statement, "I want welded hollow metal frames removed from my critical path." To make the process even more aggravating, once the frames are in place, they become vulnerable to trade damage. Every trade passing through the opening can potentially cause damage to the frame. Any damage, minor or major, must be repaired at the end of the project when the punch list is created. Some can be filled, sanded, and repainted. However, others may require a complete replacement, which is quite costly.
Benjamin Franklin is quoted to have said, "If you are finished changing, you are finished." The leadership at the highest levels within Barton Malow have clearly established a standard for commitment to being a leader in the construction industry by investing in products and processes to improve quality and productivity using lean construction and continuous improvement principles. This commitment to excellence led our lean construction leaders to identify and investigate a new product and process to solve the problems associated with welded hollow metal frames. 3 years ago, in 2016, our team recognized the potential of a newly patented frame design branded the Quick Install Frame on display at the Lean Construction Institute Congress in Chicago, Illinois. Our lean leaders were impressed with the concept of changing the construction sequence for installing frames in a wall. Everyone in the industry is familiar with multi-piece knockdown frames considered to be inferior to the performance, durability, and appearance of a welded frame. What made the Quick Install product unique was the design created to give the frame the strength and quality appearance of traditional welded hollow metal frames, with the capability of being installed after the drywall has been completed. The foundation of the installation is the mounting plate installed on each side of the opening wall. The structural component incorporates 16 riveted mounting studs for the mounting brackets, welded to the active frame to be locked onto the mounting plate in the opening. The mounting plate is adjustable during installation to create a perfectly square and plumb foundation for attaching the frame, as long as the frame opening is constructed within a dimensional tolerance of plus or minus 1/4. The door reveals will be perfect, which eliminates the typical hinge throwing procedure a carpenter must do to improve the operation and appearance of the door in the frame. The second half of the two-piece interlocking frame design is the trim frame. This design incorporates 8 snap lock tabs with multiple locking positions to allow one frame to be used in the opening with wall thicknesses ranging from 4 5/8 inches up to 5 1/4 of an inch, which reduces variation in the process for ordering frames with the exact throat dimension. These tabs engage with snap lock bridges formed into the perimeter of the active frame. Both the active frame and the trim frame are fabricated by welding and grinding smooth the corners to duplicate the desirable appearance, durability, and strength of the traditional hollow metal frame. However, the construction industry is very much aware of the risks associated with making changes. For that reason, the Barton Malow Lean leaders decided to engage in a methodical process for studying and evaluating the suitability of the Quick Install Frame for Barton Malow and the construction industry. The process is called PDSA, which is an acronym for the 4 steps: plan, do, study, act, repeat. Our initial plan was to engage with a Barton Malow customer, General Motors. We met with GM architects and construction managers to introduce the Quick Install Frame. As a result of these discussions, GM agreed to allow Barton Malow to install Quick Install frames into a new plant project being built by Barton Malow. The installation was a big success. GM added the Quick Install architectural specification to their OneSpec database of approved architectural products for GM construction projects.
How do you study a process change to compare it against the current process? The best method is to create a controlled experiment that can be recorded and will allow you to collect data to be studied and shared. A decision was made to conduct a lean construction experiment comparing the traditional process against the Quick Install process. 2 other local construction companies, Walbridge and Granger, also agreed to conduct the same experiment so data could be collected and compared. The Barton Malow experiment was completed with PDM Constructors, a preferred subcontractor located in Philadelphia. Although there was variation in the results from each experiment, the results showed a total labor savings exceeding 37%. You are about to see a time-lapse video of the first experiment, which was conducted by Wallbridge Construction. The reason for watching this video is so you can observe the steps of the process for the traditional process versus the quick install process. The first half of the video is the traditional process. The frames are installed first, followed by the drywall. Please note, there is no attempt by the carpenters to verify the frames are being installed both plumb and square. Also, see if you can pick out the shortcuts taken during the drywall installation that could not be done in a normal construction process. The second half of the video, showing the quick install process, begins with the drywall being installed and door openings being cut out after being attached to the studs. This is followed by the quick install frame installation, which is being completed by one person instead of the two needed for the traditional process. It is easy to see how much smoother the quick install process is and how labor content is reduced. Please note the carpenter installing the quick install frame is measuring and inspecting as he installs the mounting plates to make sure the mounting plates are both plumb and square. This is the first half in which the three traditional frames are being installed by two carpenters. Note the amount of measuring and cutting being done to fit drywall pieces behind the frame. Watch this next piece being installed. Obviously, if there had been a ceiling in place, this would not be possible. You can see how smooth and quick the drywall process becomes when it is installed before the frames. There is virtually no measuring, just covering the wall and cutting out door openings using the studs as a guide to cut against. Finally, only one carpenter is needed to install the quick install frames. You can see him using a level and tape measure to confirm the mounting plates are plumb and square. In addition to studying the two processes, Barton Malow wanted to study the durability of the quick install frame. The project being considered to incorporate the quick install frame is a hospital with patient rooms that will be exposed to accidental contact from a gurney loaded with a patient. Therefore, since the experiment was already planned for the installation process comparison, we decided we could collect additional data to study if we ran an experiment to simulate multiple impacts of a fully loaded gurney on both sides of the traditional frame and quick install frame. The results confirmed that both frames could withstand the impact of the loaded cart. Therefore, the results were satisfactory. The experiment was ended once it was determined repeated impacts were actually abuse that would not be blamed on a product design weakness. As the quick install continued to pass the testing we were running, the results were being shared with the architects and the owners. Because it is a new product, the architects requested proof that the frame would pass a 1 million cycle door opening test for the specification ANSI A250.4, 2001. This was run by Intertech Labs, and the Quick Install frame passed. In addition, the Quick Install frame is already certified by Intertech with a 90-minute fire rating.
At this time, based upon the successful experience and testing results, Barton Malow has decided to include the Quick Install frame in the bill of materials for the 110 patient toilet room pods to be pre-constructed for the Penn State Health Project. During this project, we will observe and record data to confirm the benefits we believe we will achieve with this strategy.
So what are the benefits we are expecting to achieve with the revised construction sequence for installing welded hollow metal frames? Once again, here is the current process flow for installing welded hollow metal frames, which clearly represents how the entire process can be delayed if the frames cannot be installed on time. When we move the installation to the end of the project, the frames are automatically removed from the critical path of the project, and all other construction activities receive a benefit from this change. It is obvious that the wall framers will no longer be constrained or delayed waiting for the frames to arrive. They can build the walls with the openings without having to work around the frames being moved into position for the installation. By moving the frame installation to the end of the project, the frames can be installed at the same time the doors are installed. This would enable the installer to visit the site one time to install frames, doors, and hardware during the same visit. In addition, instead of one or two carpenters taking 30 to 60 minutes to install each frame, the work will be completed by one carpenter in 6 minutes. Imagine the possibilities of how many frames could be installed in 30 or 60 minutes by one person. In most cases, when doors are installed into traditional frames, there is a need to adjust the fit of the door into the opening. The gap around the door is referred to as the reveal, and the owner expects a consistent reveal around the door. Because the frame is never perfect, the carpenter must install shims behind the hinges to throw the door in the opening to make the minor adjustment required. The quick install design uses the mounting plates to create a perfectly square and plumb opening for the door to be installed. This eliminates the need to throw the hinges. Without the frames interfering with the electrical work in the wall, the efficiency of electricians will improve. In addition, any electrical connections needed to pass through the frame can be easily reached and completed after the quick install active frame is installed and before the trim frame is attached. Drywall installers and finishers' productivity and efficiency will dramatically increase when measuring and cutting is almost eliminated. No more cutting and piecing pieces to push behind the frame. The total number of seams are reduced with less material waste for the entire job. Painting becomes a continuous rolling operation without any brushwork around the frames. Quality and productivity automatically improves. Transportation is one of the 8 wastes of lean. Because the frame can be delivered at the same time the door and hardware are delivered, the possibility of kitting and pre-assembly of these components can be considered, which would be impossible with traditional frames. Once again, improving productivity and quality. All of these improvements will simplify the coordination activities for the project managers. Rework and repairs caused by trade damage virtually disappears, which eliminates the need to track and charge back those costs to subcontractors who caused the damage. Finally, procurement activities are streamlined and simplified by allowing the door and hardware distributor to break down the Division 8 takeoffs to develop a value-added plan to deliver the frames, doors, and hardware in a kit format to each door opening just in time. An important part of the PDSA process is study. Although a large amount of data was captured during the lean experiments, the data in this report is a high-level summary of the information collected and studied. How important is studying data in this process? It can be summed up in this quote: "Unless you let the data speak to you, you're just another person with an opinion." This chart clearly shows the actual labor time consumed for each of the 3 separate experiments described earlier, along with an average for each operation. The 2 graphs on the left are the process for the traditional frame and drywall installation. What immediately stands out is the variation of time required by each of the carpenter teams. Compare that data against the data on the right showing the labor required to install the quick install frame. What you are seeing is that variation is significantly reduced when the quick install frame is incorporated into the process. Variation generates waste. Because of the simplicity of the quick install 6-step installation process, it is predictable and stable. It is installed the same way every time without any variation. This makes the process repeatable and easily trained. Remember, the graph on the lower left are the actual times required for one carpenter to install 3 frames. When each person did this work, this was the first time they had ever seen or installed a quick install frame. The only training they had was a review of the parts of the frame and a read-through of the written installation instructions. 1 person, 6 steps, 6 minutes, done.
This journey has taken 3 years. However, nothing has changed. This is just the beginning. Now, through efforts like this presentation and meetings we will have with owners and architects, we will work to generate support for this product to be specified into the future projects, so the entire construction industry can benefit from this significant innovative solution. We want to thank you again for giving Barton Malow the opportunity to be considered for this award.